So because Mazraoui has picked up a random heart issue and is reportedly out for 2 months, now the only regular first team fullback available is Diogo Dalot. He is surely getting switched to right back, and I think Ten Hag has to bring Harry Amass in at left back over Lindelof for this specific tactical reason, which I'm going to break down in just a minute. But first, why exactly do I rate Harry Amass so highly? So Amass is 17, only 18 in March, but you can already see from watching him that he's a level above most under 18s, and he is very reminiscent of Luke Shaw, having the same sort of stocky aesthetic with the necessary upper body strength to cope with senior football. In possession, he does have that static style of receiving possession, standing still for a second before then picking a pass, and this is very much like Luke Shaw. And I think we see both Shaw and Amass using this standing still to wait for players to drift into optimal positions, to then play short passing sequences, and Amass is pretty good in these sort of interplay situations because he has the passing and the ball carrying ability to be able to take advantage of the space very efficiently. Now I would like to see him be more decisive when receiving the ball in space and driving forward as quickly as possible, but I think this should be something that he develops as he plays more senior football and gets more confident and comfortable. But tactically, the reason why I think Ten Hag has to give Amass an opportunity is because he provides something that United currently lack, and that is being an athletic left-footed left back who can provide the over and underlapping runs ahead of Garnacho and Rashford on the left flank, which I think both players desperately need. The reason Ten Hag's current possession system is so slow and devoid of intent is because we really lack players who can run ahead of play, in behind the back line, with Bruno, Eriksson or Mainu playing as a central midfielders ahead of a more industrious ball winner like either Agate or Casemiro. United lack powerful runners from deep ahead of the ball, especially with Xerxes being the type of centre forward who's going to drop towards the ball, looking to receive the ball to feet and drag opposition centre backs out of the back line, therefore creating the space for the runners from midfield to move into. With Harry Amass at left back over Dalot, Martinez or Lindelof, Ten Hag would now have a left back who can provide these sort of penetrating runs forward, which I think is going to improve United's possession strategy, because now when either Rashford or Garnacho look to drop into a central position in that left-sided half space, the opposition's fullback is going to have a dilemma. Either they vacate the space in the channel by following Rashford and stopping him receiving the ball 2 feet between the lines and turning, which in turn opens up the space for Amass to overlap into, or they could stop this space being created for Amass, but in doing so would have to allow Rashford to run free, from where he can look to receive the ball in behind the opposition's midfield before turning and driving forward. Lindelof doesn't have the pace, athleticism or the left foot to provide this, whilst Martinez lacks pace and athletic ability, and whilst Dalot is fairly comfortable with his left foot, he's certainly not at the level that United would need in order to be a significant threat on the overlap. But before I analyse Harry Amass further, come on to the tactical breakdown and tell you about a 17-year-old South American left back that I think Manchester United should be interested in. Let me first tell you about the jersey of the day, which is this Manchester United home shirt from the Champions League 97-99 with Beckham number 7 on the back. But if you go over to Jersey FIFA, they also have the new season and other club and international retro jerseys as well. If you use code Atlantis at checkout, you'll get a discount. A link will be in my Instagram bio, which I will leave linked in the description. So I think Harry Amass is actually very stylistically similar to Luke Shaw, down to their technique aesthetic. Amass is only 17, but when watching him, he has a composure and the technical ability of a player who is already comfortably ready to be promoted beyond the under 18s. And whilst initially he may need 5 or 6 games to get used to the transition between youth and senior football, I think if Ten Hag or whoever the next manager is for the rest of the season persists with Harry Amass, United could have a Luke Shaw or Tyrone Malacia long-term replacement by the end of the season. However, if United were to change managers and brought in someone like Thomas Frank or Ruben Amorim, who would use a back 5 on at least some occasions, then I think Harry Amass could play as the left wing back, although I do think there are some tactical implications which may mean that he's better suited to a left back role in a back 4. See, I think Alvaro Fernandez is a better fit for a wing back role than Amass, and the reasons for this is that the Benfica man is a few years older, he was great at physical and athletic development, and this would be my main issue with Amass having the starting left back or left wing back spot for the whole season. Of course he can provide those overlapping runs ahead of Rashford or Garnacho, whilst also being more than capable of creating chances with low crosses across the box or cutbacks towards the edge, but I think that currently Alvaro Fernandez has better composure, vision and execution with his crosses in the final third. I also think Amass needs to develop his explosiveness when receiving the ball and driving forward, as this ball carrying ability is essential for the left back that United need, and I'm going to break down why from a tactical point of view, but first let me suggest a young South American left back who I think has massive potential. So if United did promote Amass to the first team, skipping the under 21s, they could bring in another incredibly talented 17-year-old left back, and that is Paraguayan club Cerro Porteño's left back Diego Leon, who apparently is 17 despite not looking like a 17-year-old, being heavily built throughout his body whilst also being a very front foot and aggressive defender, which combines power and pace to create an explosive fullback who has the tenacity to jump ahead of his winger to make an interception, but then having the power and the pace to drive the attack forward down the left side. And this natural explosiveness and upper body strength that Diego Leon has is what makes him stand out against other left backs his age, including Harry Amass. He can receive the ball to feet, stand statically before dropping a shoulder and driving down the outside of the player, which brings me on to the tactical importance of having a fullback who can powerfully drive the ball forward. See, in United's build-up phase, when the opposition midfield pushes up aggressively and remains horizontally compact, the space for United is between the opposition's defensive and midfield lines in the middle third, but also on the flanks as well. And so if you have a fullback like Theo Hernandez, who would be the best example of this, or even Alvaro Fernandez, who's a more realistic example for Manchester United, you can use switches of play from inside your own box when under pressure, when the opposition is crowded over to one side, from either the goalkeeper Onana or the centre backs, in order to loft the ball over the opposition's wide midfielder on the far side. And if United have a left back who can bring the ball under control efficiently, then the space is going to be there to drive forward past the midfield line into the space, allowing United to progress the ball out of the defensive third, and now being able to exploit the increased amount of space in the middle third caused by the opposition pushing their midfield so high up into United's defensive third to press. I think both Alvaro Fernandez and Diego Leon have this natural explosiveness when running with or without the ball, but I just don't think Amass is at the stage of his development where he has this, as remember, he's still only 17, even though I do think he can definitely add it to his arsenal in the next few years if he develops physically and athletically. Now, before I analyse Amass in a back five, just quickly, I do have a Patreon, I'll leave it linked below. I've got the Telegram channel for matchday analysis, as well as some other unreleased tactical analysis videos as well. I'll leave it linked in the description and comment section below. So a back five would definitely give Amass more attacking responsibility, but also more defensive insurance behind him. However, I do think that this could actually make him less effective, which does seem counterintuitive, but let me explain. See, whilst an elite level attacking left back like Theo Hernandez would definitely benefit from being used as a left wing back in a back five, rather than a back four, just because logically he's going to have greater freedom to push forward into attacking positions with the defensive security of an extra centre back behind him. But this is only really a benefit if the fullback playing at wing back has the attacking output in terms of dribbling, ball carrying and crossing to fully take advantage of this increased attacking freedom. I think Alvaro Fernandez is better in the final third than Amass, whereas the former Watford Academy player in my eyes is much better in the middle third, where he can receive the ball to feet and look for a quick 1-2 or a progressive pass up the line or into a player between the lines. I don't think he's as good in terms of his delivery from wide positions in the final third, and so being asked to push higher up in the build-up phase and in the middle third and take on the position of a natural winger in the system might instead work to highlight Amass's lack of elite level output, whilst also not allowing him to get involved in progressing the ball from in front of the opposition's midfield line into players behind it, which I think is a phase of play which suits his game a lot more. This isn't saying that he can't adapt to the left wing back role, I'm just saying at the moment I think Amass comes into the side and has better performances as a left back in a back four rather than a left wing back in a back five.